Now, okay.
Are we live?
You're live.
All right. I guess that means we're starting.
If you like.
Well, what's Korach? Korah. What's the portion of that? It's kind of like the last one, right? It's rebellion. Is that what? I guess it's kind of like everything. I mean, this morning we're talking about, was it Ahab, king?
Mm-hmm.
He was in rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sheep of the burning sand.
It was kind of chic. What is that when things happen? What does it cause?
Consequences.
Yeah, consequences, but that's a result. But what is it when it's going on? Kind of chaos. You know, in Israel during that time of Ahab, it was a civil war. Because it was whether you're going to follow Baal or whether you're going to follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It was a civil war. What did God say about who we worship? I mean, he told Israel, you know, when you enter the land, you get rid of all the other people because they worship other gods and they do all kinds of abominations. And if you leave them there, they will be a snare unto you.
Yeah.
And you will end up worshiping them and abandoning me. What was the root of all the other gods that people worshiped? What was the attraction? Fertility.
Yeah.
So, what was the difference between worshiping God and worshiping other gods then? The gods of this world go after our base instincts. Sexual immorality is the number one.
Okay.
And I mean, that's the downfall. It was the downfall of the Roman Empire. Is that it was what caused it. But that's most of the case in all the world. And I call it particularly, like in our country, it's chaos. Y'all see the chaos in the world? Well, and it's hard for people, you know, it's kind of like being the frog in the cold water that's sitting on the stove that's heating up.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't realize what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what goes on. I try to explain this to children. If y'all ever do this, I talk about this is the way it was when I was a kid growing up. And I would explain, you know, what the moral level of the society was. I said, now don't misunderstand me. I said, that existed at this time, but it was hidden. And people didn't even talk about it. One of the first clues to me is that my parents would talk about Amarillo. And my mother pointed out one time, we listened to the radio about all the crime that was going on in Amarillo. Because, you know, it was a lot different society here. And I just asked one time, so why don't we go to Amarillo to shop? And she said, well, we go there to shop because we can get things at a better price than what we can get in the area to your barber shop. And she said, so part of it's economic. And said, but there's some things we can't get unless we go to Amarillo. said they don't sell it here. It's because these merchants here, it's too expensive to carry, so they know you're going to go get it at a better price somewhere else anyway. And so she was explaining to me, and I said, so why don't we live in Amarillo? And she said, well, it's a bad place. She said, it's not the kind of town we want to live in. And I was confused about that for a long time, about why wasn't it a town where we wanted to live. But later on, when I was in the 8th grade, I was on the basketball team. Miracle told before. But anyway, the coach that came that coached that year had coached here in Amarillo. He had just gotten out of college a couple of years before, and he came and he coached in Amarillo. And he was amazed at the school, and because there wasn't any grade problems with people that couldn't play because of their grades. There weren't any broken windows in the school. There wasn't any conflicts, the Mexicans, the blacks, and the whites weren't fighting each other. And we had all three in the school, but it wasn't a problem. But he mentioned it. I mean, that's one thing he said. He said, you can't imagine the way it was in the school in Amarillo. He said it was chaos. And he said, I spent more time getting kids that were good athletes to be able to play and not fight. And but anyway, but that has enveloped, to me, it's more prevalent now everywhere. And I think one of the reasons is, technology. What year did you get a TV in your house? Do you remember?
It was probably 64 or 5.
Okay. See, we were.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we were way ahead of it. We got one in 1955.
Oh wow.
The problem was that we lived out on the farm. It depended on the time of day, where the sun was. I mean, we had a Stilson wrench on the TV antenna to turn it, and to get the reception.
I was wrong. We did have a TV, a little bitty black and white one.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the first time we had a colored TV.
Oh,
I remember that real plain.
yeah. We didn't have a color TV in our house. My parents never had one, period. I never had color until I got out of time. I don't know.
Man, you're old.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that happened is that the world invaded our society. Things, everybody in here probably knows it. There weren't any in the movies before 1968. They didn't make movies that had profanity in them. And then they changed the rules.
They've redefined what profanity is.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that things can overwhelm us. And we let it happen because we're all in the water.
Yeah.
We don't realize it's getting
Yeah. Well, right now, here even in the state of Texas, there's areas of Sharia law that is being allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were being allowed. I think some of it's been eliminated.
Well, some, but that's still, it's a growing, situation.
Yeah.
And it's been accepted so many areas. And of course, a great deal of that has been the open borders, letting them, people can bring in their history and their.
I mean, and I think everybody knows this. It's easier to keep something stable if you work at it, like in your house, if you work at keeping a high moral standard, then to let things go and then try to get it back.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite story is about telling about my sister going to an 8th grade graduation or a party or something, and she got a dress that was at her knee. My dad wouldn't let her wear it.
Yeah.
Said no. Said, we all know what kind of girls wear dresses that short. That was his comment. We all know what kind of course, I was 3 years younger. I had no clue what he was talking about. I was wondering about it. How does everybody know and I don't know? Yeah. Well, Proverbs 3, one of my favorite proverbs. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in sight of God and man. Trust the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths.
Yeah.
Be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord, and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth, and with the first fruits of your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats and will be bursting with wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, or be weary of his reproof. For the Lord reproves him who he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. In this core portion, I'm using the 3 verses that stand out. First verse, my son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. And then the 7th one, be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. And then verse 13, blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. So, you know, that first verse, keeping God's commandments, is where we get blessings, understanding. That's where everything comes from. And be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. You know, and I know we try to define fear of the Lord, reverence for the Lord, and those things. But fear of the Lord is really understanding who's in charge. You know, in homes that they don't have a strong leadership, you know, sometimes the man is leader of the house, sometimes the woman. It depends on who's going out the discipline.
Yeah.
But the stronger the discipline, the better order in the home. And I'm not talking about abuse, I'm just talking about strong discipline. You know, being held to a standard and being enforced.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that's what this core portion is about. It's about maintaining order in the camp. Anyway, let's start by saying the blessing. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Please join me.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us in his commandments, and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah.
And in Hebrew.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'etzvanu le'asok v'divrei Torah.
Yeah, based on those principles of Proverbs 3, 1, 7, and 13, keeping God's commandments, not being wise, fearing the Lord, and blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. Korah's rebellion can be read as the opposite of Proverbs 3's counsel. He forgot Yahweh's instructions, was wise in his own eyes, and sought status without fear of Yahweh. Can you see that? I mean, everything that Korah did was against what God had said. He denied his authority and wanted it his way. Keep Yahweh's commandments. Covenant faithfulness starts with remembering what Yahweh has already said and established. Wisdom, understanding, isn't you win by grabbing influence. Win is walking in God's commandments. You know, people think going after influence and what position and authority and all that kind of stuff is what brings happiness. What was it that God told Solomon? When he prayed, when he said, "What can I give you?" and Solomon said, "Give me wisdom that I might rule this people." So what was Solomon asking for? He said, "You know, there's a huge country. I'm just a young guy. I need wisdom. I need to have the tools to govern the people." And but what did Korah go after? He wasn't called. I mean, if you go back and look at the genealogy, Korah was ahead of some of the people chosen. As far as it goes in age, he was closer to the spot where he should have been chosen. And so some of the commentaries say that he was jealous of that and he wanted to regain the prestige that he thought was due him. But in doing this, it showed that he didn't deserve what he wanted. And that's the whole point of not that these things didn't happen, but the point that they're written, it's kind of like what it says in the New Testament. It says Yeshua did many things that aren't recorded, but these things are told so that you will understand who he was. Well, that's the way these scriptures are. It's not that these things didn't happen, but it's important that we understand that when we abandon God's commandments, when we turn from the fear of knowing who's in charge in our lives, and then that we think, like my son said, he who has the most toys when he dies wins. You know, that's the wrong way to look at the scripture. Numbers 16, 1 through 13. Now Korah, son of Ishar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took 250 prominent Israelite men who were leaders in the community and representatives in the assembly, and they rebelled against Moses. They came together against Moses and Aaron and told them, "You have gone too far. Everyone in the entire community is holy, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourself above the Lord's assembly?" When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will reveal who belongs to him and who is set apart, and the one he will let come near him. He will let the one he chooses to come near him. Korah, you and all your followers are to do this. Take fire pans, and tomorrow place fire in them and put incense on them before the Lord. Then the man the Lord chooses will be the one who is set apart. It is you, Levites, who have gone too far." Moses also told Korah, "Now listen, Levites, isn't it enough for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the Israelite community to bring you near to himself, to perform the work at the Lord's tabernacle, and to stand before the community to minister to them. He has brought you near, and all your fellow Levites who are with you, but you are seeking the priesthood as well. Therefore, it is you and all your followers who have conspired against the Lord. As for Aaron, who is he that you should complain about him? Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, we will not come. Is it not enough that you brought us up from a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? Do you also have to appoint yourself as ruler over us? So, what is Korah? What has he done? He's formed a coalition, including Dathan and Abiram, and frames his accusation as a concern for holiness. He says, all the people are holy. We're holy. And now you put yourself above us. What's he trying to say?
You're not better than me.
You're not better than me. So you don't deserve what you're doing. Because all the congregation is holy. Why do you exalt yourself? But Proverbs 3:1 says, Korah is not treating Yahweh's prior instructions as settled. In other words, it's kind of like breaking the commandments. Okay? We have to understand that the commandments are settled. They're what the rules are. And if you break them, there's consequences. Well, that's the same thing here. God has already set up his plan and instituted it, and what's Korah saying? He's saying, well, God didn't know what he was doing. That's basically what he says. And how did Moses respond? He says, you need to get all your leaders, 250 guys, bring your fire pans, put coals in them, cover them with incense, and come tomorrow. And God will show who is set apart. He doesn't say holy. He says set apart. He uses the word set apart. What does the word holy mean? It means set apart. But it's said in a different way, right? Then Moses calls for Dathan and Abiram to come. What do they say? They said, we're not coming. You don't tell us what to do. And that's the one that gets me right there. Because in their accusation, they say, you brought us out in the wilderness, and we came from the land of milk and honey, Egypt. What is that? When they say, you brought us out here out of the land of milk and honey. What is that? That's what we call the slap in the face. I mean, that's saying God doesn't know what he's doing, and we would rather go back than be with you another day. Once Korah's stance becomes hardened, what happens? Well, the rebellion moves from complaint to defiance before the whole assembly. So, I used to wonder, why did the earth open up and swallow the people? Well, it's because this rebellion is a lot worse than anything that's ever happened. And so the consequences of it are worse than anything that's ever happened. It's going to be. Numbers 16, 14 through 19. Furthermore, you didn't bring us to a land flowing with milk and honey, or give us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. will you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not come. Then Moses became angry and said to the Lord, don't respect their offerings. I have not taken one donkey from them or mistreated a single one of them. So Moses told Korah, you and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow. You, they, and Aaron, each of you is to take his fire pan, place incense on it, and present his fire pan before the Lord. 250 fire pans. You and Aaron are each to present your fire pans also. Each man took his fire pan, placed fire in it, put incense on it, and stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting along with Moses and Aaron. After Korah assembled the whole community against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole community. So, when all that occurs and Moses, confronts him, what did Moses say? Well, right at the end, he says, you and Aaron bring your fire pans also.
Yeah.
So, what he's doing, he's identifying that Korah is after Aaron. He's saying, before he said, what do you have against Aaron?
Yeah.
And then this one, he says, you and Aaron bring your first. So, what he's doing is he's zeroing in on what Korah is after. He's after the priesthood. He's saying, I know what you're doing. And you've gotten these other guys riled up saying that I'm lording myself over you, and I'm not. I'm just doing what God asked me to do. Proverbs 3:7 warns about being wise in our own eyes because it often looks like confidence with a spiritual justification. How did Korah frame it? His spiritual justification. The whole community is holy. Why do you lord yourself above us? What are we supposed to do when we're working on that? Fear and trembling, right? So, you might say that Korah didn't have fear and trembling while he was thinking about establishing himself as a leader in all Israel.
Well, he made himself the leader of the revelation.
That's right. He was the leader of the rebellion. So, who's the rebellion ultimately against? It's against God, right?
Yeah.
Or the only way he directs it against Moses,
Yeah.
but he's mad at God for choosing Moses and his brother. Do y'all see that in our political charades that are going on today?
Yeah.
What do most political people in the world do? What do they do to their opponents?
Slander,
So denigrate them.
spread lies.
Yeah, they demonize them.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing they say about Trump. They say, well, he's a child molester, he's all these different things. But have they ever had any proof? Not that I know of.
He'd be in jail if they did.
Yeah.
If you were on their side, that wouldn't happen. If
Well,
you were
yeah,
on
and
their
look,
side.
that's the way it always is. So, I mean, look at the gal that quit his administration and went back to the Democrats. Forget what her name is. But, she was hated, and then now she's a hero because her eyes were opened.
Yeah.
And then look at what happened when Elon Musk got in an argument with him and, had a fit for a few days. They were praising him, and then in a few days he said, well, I was wrong, I'm going back. You guys are too crazy for me. And then he went back to being a demon again. And I can understand people on both sides of the fence. I don't understand how people can believe the things that they believe, but how do y'all see it? But is Korah's rebellion, is it similar to what goes on right now? I would say that if you took the people that were alive 250 years ago, set them down here today, that they would all think that we were a group of demons. I don't care who y'all are.
They're probably rolling around in their graves right now.
Yeah, that's what I said once. I said my grandfather's probably, he's like a fan going, he's turning over in his grave. So, let's see here. Somebody want to read this next one?
I'll read it.
Okay. Thank you.
The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, separate yourselves from this community so that I may consume them instantly. But Moses and Aaron fell face down and said, God of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, will you vent your wrath on the whole community? The Lord replied to Moses, tell the community, get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram and to the elders of Israel, and the elders of Israel followed him. He warned the community, get away now from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything that belongs to them, or you will be swept away because of all of their sins. So they got away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Meanwhile, Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their tents with their wives, children, and infants. Then Moses said, this is how you will know that the Lord sent me to do all these things, and that it was not of my own will. If these men die naturally, as all people would, and suffer the fate of all, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something unprecedented, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them along with all that belongs to them, so that they go down alive into Sheol, then you will know that these men have despised the Lord. Just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground beneath them split open. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's people and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol with all that belonged to them. The earth closed over them, and they vanished from the assembly. All their cries, all the people of Israel who were around them fled because they thought, the earth may swallow us too. Fire also came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were presenting the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, tell Eleazar the son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the fire pans from the burning debris, because they are holy, and scatter the fire far away. As for the fire pans of those who sinned at the cost of their own lives, make them into hammered sheets as plating for the altar, for they presented them before the Lord, and the fire pans are holy. They will be a sign to the Israelites. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze fire pans that those who were burned had presented, and they were hammered into plating for the altar, just as the Lord commanded him through Moses. It was to be a reminder for the Israelites that no unauthorized person outside the lineage of Aaron should approach to offer incense before the Lord and become like Korah and his followers. The next day, the entire Israelite community complained about Moses and Aaron, saying, you have killed the Lord's people. When the community assembled against them, Moses and Aaron turned toward the tent of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the Lord's glory appeared. Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent of meeting.
What is the fruit of not fearing God?
Doing what's right in our eyes.
You could say it's God's judgment, right? If you don't fear God, you're going to be it's not going to go well with you. So, what is the meaning of not to fear God? It means you think that there's no consequences for your actions. Okay. So, what about the 250 men that were offering incense and they got burned up?
Should have been a lesson.
Well, it seemed like, what did Nadab and Abihu do?
Same thing.
The same thing. They brought unauthorized fire.
Yeah.
And so they were bringing unauthorized fire, and they should have understood that if they weren't the one in charge, the same thing was going to happen to them. In Proverbs 3:7, it's plainly vivid. If someone does not fear Yahweh, they can step into sacred things as though personal sincerity or majority support makes it safe. So, you're thinking there's 250 of us, he's going to kill us all? Yes, he is. I think the fear of God is the sober recognition that Yahweh defines what is holy and how he is approached. And I think even when we read the scriptures, we still don't understand how serious it is for our approach to God. I mean, we have it and I don't think it's wrong. I think God is a loving God. And I think God wants us to do good. He wants us to follow his commandments. But I think that the whole world of man is damaged goods. We're damaged goods. We have all. It says we all have fallen short. Okay? And so I think our fear of God ought to be elevated just because of that. And the next part that we're going to read in Korah's rebellion, it just doesn't create a leadership dispute. It unleashes deadly consequences. What are deadly consequences? Well, we're fixing to read the part about where the plague breaks out, right? And so, it tells God tells Aaron, go get your fire pan, put incense, coals on it, put incense on it, and go into the crowd. The plague has started.
Yeah.
Okay, so Moses understands what's happening, and but the people didn't understand what was happening. To me, just like I said before, the earth opens up, all these people killed, and the next day they come and they say, "Why are you doing this stuff to us? You're killing the holy people."
Yeah.
They didn't get it. I mean, what were the holy people doing? I mean, what was Dathan and Abiram and Korah, what were their families doing? They were questioning God's authority and saying, God thinks that we're just as good as you are, Moses. But God had already established Moses as the leader.
Yeah.
And they were saying God doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you fast forward here, and they're coming back and said, you're killing the holy people. Well, they weren't the holy people. They had abandoned God's instruction.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot of times we do the same thing ourselves. We don't do what we're supposed to do, And then we get upset, like spiritually, because it didn't go the way we thought it should go. You know, God, why are you doing this to me? And then you look back on, say, something that you did or something you said or how you had lived your life. And you say, well, I can understand why things didn't go the way they should have gone. But on the other hand, I look back at things that happened that have turned out miraculously in my life. You know, that I couldn't even imagine the things that have happened coming true. You know, it's almost like things happen accidentally. I don't think there's any accidents, but I think that, you know, when you do things correctly, you get rewarded. When you do things incorrectly, you get disciplined. And if you do things wildly bad, the earth will open up and swallow you. Now, think about this. Jesus returns and sets up his kingdom and rules for 1,000 years. Is there going to be rebellion in that 1,000 years?
At the end.
Well, in the end, it's going to come to a climax.
Right. But they're
during-
probably disobeying even during, because he said it wasn't gonna rain on y'all if you don't come to the feast. So,
Yeah, to the
yeah.
thing. Well, but what I'm getting at is, think about the world. And think about all the Christians in the world and the way they view the view of the world. I think there are people that are going to be changed. I think that, you know, the ones, the righteous dead will rise and rule with Christ for 1,000 years. But what about those people that weren't changed that are still here? I mean, that's the part I am so curious about. Will you be changed or will you be here? Will you be resurrected or are you going to be in the last resurrection? See, there's all these things that are identified that we don't really think about. But it's a picture here. The same thing's going on here. This is a ruling in the wilderness. When Yeshua returns, it's not the new heaven and the new earth. It's still the wilderness. He's still here recovering his kingdom. The final redemption hasn't come. So this is, to me, this is the prelude to that. It's the same thing. I think people are they're being sifted. I mean, that generation has to die off. The next generation goes into the land. Okay? Things have to be cleaned up before you get into the land. Well, I think the millennial reign is cleaning stuff up so that the new heavens and the new earth have the people and have the things that it's going to take to be in the new heaven and the new earth. And that's why I think when we read Jesus' statement about enter through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide, and many, you don't have to find it, many going through that gate. It doesn't say anything about finding it or looking for it. It just says many go through that way.
Yeah.
But those who enter through the narrow gate, for those who find it, it's hard, and there's few of them. Well, I think that's a very accurate statement. I think we need to take that seriously. That being on the narrow path isn't, in our world today, isn't easy. Because our world is against that path. That's why it's not easy. And you can be torn apart, torn away from it very easily. Rebellion, what does it unleash when we have rebellion like we have today? Well, I call it deadly consequences. You know, I mean, that's what's going on in the Middle East. It's going on here too, but it's hidden. You know, there's a lot of persecution going on in the United States. There's lots of evil stuff happening, and it's against just normal people. You know, we haven't really seen the religious persecution hasn't come to the surface here. Over in Israel, religious persecution is there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, the Hezbollah and those people, it's a religious war. Our God is Allah. Your God is Yahweh. Our God is stronger than you. He will kill. We will be the people of the earth. That's what it's all about. It's Satan's way and God's way. And right now we're stewing around just thinking we know what's going on. And the Lord said to Moses, "Get away from this community so that I may consume them instantly." But they fell face down. Then Moses told Aaron, "Take your fire pan, place fire in from the altar in it, and add incense. Go quickly to the community and make atonement for them, because wrath has come from the Lord. The plague has begun." So Aaron took his fire pan as Moses had ordered, ran into the middle of the assembly, saw that the plague had begun among the people. After he added incense, he made atonement for the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was halted. But those who died from the plague numbered 14,700. In addition to those who died because of the Korah incident. Aaron then returned to Moses at the entrance to the tent of meeting, since the plague had been halted. So when Aaron ran into the midst of the people and the plague was stopped, you know, he stood between the living and the dead. You know, we understand that's a messianic episode.
Yeah.
He made atonement. So when he took his fire pan, put fire and laid incense on it and ran into the middle, what is that a picture of?
Yesha on the cross.
Well, he had authority.
Yeah.
Okay? The other people that put fire and incense in their fire pan, what did they have? They didn't have authority, they had separation.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I see.
They
what
weren't
you're-
authorized.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, what people don't understand is how delicate a situation we live in. We live in a situation where God has called us to His standard. He hadn't called us to the world's standard. He's called us to His standard. And people have a tendency to say this, and probably I've said it myself. Surely haven't done enough that I deserve what Korah got.
Yeah.
You know, surely. You know. But on the other hand, people do wicked stuff all the time. Because what is wickedness?
Not fulfilling your purpose.
Not fulfilling your purpose. What is our purpose? According to the greatest commandments, to love God, Lord our God, with all our heart, mind, soul, strength. Right? So, the purpose is pretty high. Purpose is pretty high. And we don't, to me, we have trouble understanding how important that is. Am I crazy? So don't do like this. So.
What does that have to do with today's Torah portion?
What does it have to do with the day's portion?
Whether you're crazy or not.
Well, because, you know, the thing is people that sit here and try to talk about what goes on in the scripture and how it affects our life state. What is it a picture of then? What is it a picture of now? Nothing happens in the scripture that's not prophetic. And I think that this right here about the rebellion and going into the land are tied together. You know, they got the bad report. The people are going to die in the wilderness. You know, these people are saying, well, why don't we just go back to Egypt? Why don't we just chuck this and go back? And, you know, God and Moses and, you know, the crew, they're saying, no, God is saying, I have chosen y'all and you're going to come through the fire. But the people that come through the fire are the ones that are proven. And we don't understand that we think tribulation is bad. But what is that entering through the narrow gate? Where it says the way that leads to life is hard. Well, I've told you before, that word means tribulation. The way that leads is tribulation. In other words, what does God want? He wants people that are willing to do what it takes. He wants
obedience.
well, it's obedience, but it takes, in our world, it takes perseverance, strength of will,
Stick-to-itiveness.
to do it. It's easy to fall back. It's easy to fall into apostasy.
Endeavor to persevere.
Endeavor to persevere, yes. And I don't know what, if you take 600,000 and you say 14,700 died. Okay, so that's what, take 2 zeros off of 600,000, that's 60,000. So 147 out of 60,000 be the same percentage. Isn't that about right?
Yeah.
So then if you take that down, you're talking about less than 1%.
Yeah.
But if he hadn't ran into the fire, how many would have died? How many more would have died? All I'm saying is that we look at that number and it looks huge, but in reality, it's a small percentage. But remember that 14,700 are probably all men.
Yeah.
Because all the men come. This was a man's fight.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of widows and orphans
That's
going
right.
into the promised land.
Well, but I mean, it's serious stuff. All I'm saying is that we need to read these things as happening to us because we do the same thing. We deny God's power. We deny His leadership. We do these things, and without a second thought, because we don't go back and read the consequences of what's going on. If you put Yeshua as Moses, are we not followers of Yeshua?
Yeah.
That was Moses' job. He was the intercessor for all of Israel. You know, if you look at Moses, he was a priest and a king, right?
Right.
I mean, he's the one that initially did all the sacrifice. He built the altar. He set everything up. Who did he train? He trained his brother Aaron. Okay. Well, that's the same thing that's going on today. Is Yeshua is our king. And he is our high priest. He's the one that stands between us and death.
Amen.
Same thing that's going on in the poor portion here.
Mhm.
It's the same thing that's going to happen when he returns. He's still going to fulfill that role. Oh, and then don't hit on the table that makes the table.
Makes it fun.
There you go. See, you just slip and You're down there with the masses all of a sudden.
You think the 250 fire pans when they're bringing, you think you could take and put, what was it, Proverbs 28:9 on that?
Mm-hmm.
Those that turn their ears from hearing the Torah, even their prayers,
Or an
or
abomination.
abominations,
Yeah.
and then you take Aaron when he goes out to prayer of the righteous man availeth much.
Right. Well, that's exactly the point being made, is that many people fall, but the prayer of one that holds fast availeth much. And I think that's why I think our journey is a sifting. You know, when you sift flour, what are you doing? You're getting the fine particles that make the best bread.
Yeah.
That's what God's doing. He's getting the fine particles that make his nation. And if we want to be a part of that nation, we need to understand that God has standards and we're supposed to keep them. And I don't think it's when you look at the scripture where Jesus says, "Be holy as your Father in heaven is holy." I think that's one of the great commandments. Is it saying, you know, walk in his ways, walk in my ways. Okay, plague breaks out. Aaron runs with his incense, makes atonement, standing between the dead and the living, and the plague stops. What's important about that moment? It's like I said, that moment says doing things God's way preserves life. Doing it out of God's way brings death. What did Moses do? He preserved life and stopped death. And that's what salvation is. Salvation is stopping death and bringing life. What do we call salvation?
Redemption, redeemed.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit more base on that. What is salvation? Well, number one, it's believing in God and in his son who came as our Redeemer. Okay. So number one, you have to believe that God exists. You have to believe that he came and died for sins and rose from the dead. So those are the three tenets of our faith.
Obey.
Yeah. But the third one is, if you truly believe, then what happens? If you truly believe, then you do. You know, belief without works is dead. So once we believe these things, we have to do it. That's what God says. He says, if you believe in me, then keep my commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. That's the bottom line.
That's doing it his way and not the song, I'll do it my way.
Yeah.
That was one famous song. That was a hit of the day. My goodness.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But I did it my way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was that? Frank Sinatra sang that?
Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people sang it. Tony Bennett sang it too.
Yeah.
A bunch of people. But that's what people want to hear. What is it that there'll be many teachers that tickle your ears?
Mm-hmm.
I often wondered, I always thought tickling your ears was an irritation. But I finally figured out as an idiom that meant that that's what you wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of the churches today, that's what they preach, is what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Not what they need to hear, but what they want to hear. So, going on, Yahweh reinforces the lesson so that the people can learn wisdom rather than repeat folly. That's what we're fixing to find out, right? The Lord instructed Moses, speak to the Israelites and take one staff from them for each ancestral house. Staffs from all the 12 staffs from all the leaders of the ancestral houses. Write each man's name on his staff. Write Aaron's name on Levi's staff, because there must be one staff for the head of each ancestral house. Then place them in the tent of meeting in front of the testimony where I meet with you. The staff of the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of the Israelites' complaints that they have been making about you. So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a staff, one for each of the leaders of their ancestral houses, 12 staffs in all. Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of testimony. The next day Moses entered the tent of the testimony and saw that Aaron's staff, representing the house of Levi, had sprouted, formed buds, blossomed, and produced almonds. Moses then brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They saw them, and each man took his own staff. So he collected all the staffs, and Aaron's staff had blossomed, produced flowers, and then ripe olives overnight. Was that a sign? Or was it instruction? Well, I think it was not just a sign. I think it was definitely an instruction saying, why didn't all these other staffs produce almonds, ripe almonds? Why did just Aaron's? That was the question.
Yeah.
It's because God had blessed Aaron.
Yeah.
Not that the other people weren't important, but he's the one that had been chosen. Proverbs 3:13 says, blessed is the one who finds wisdom and understanding. So God thought Aaron had wisdom and understanding. Did you think that Moses had wisdom and understanding? Yeah.
It was a confirmation and the message to obey.
Right. So, real wisdom receives the verdict and stops kicking and screaming, right? Real wisdom says, I understand what God wants and I'm going to try to do it.
That kind of brings us back to Aaron and the golden calf that jumped out of his fire.
Well, I did this last year, but here's everybody before they got their staff, and then they looked at their staffs and they realized everything had changed. The thing about it is I think the story can't be negative, because how can they go through all this stuff? The rebellion, the ground opening up, the people being burned, them coming back and saying, you're killing our people, it's not our fault, and then 14,000 more people are dying. And then he does the deal with the staff. And it's kind of like, when they see something, I guess you'd call it, you plant a crop and it takes 120 days for it to grow up, mature, and then you have a harvest, and you have all the things that you have to do in the harvest. So you know how hard that is. So all these other things were deadly. But when he put it in terms of a plant maturing overnight, it became a miracle. Where I looked at those other things as deadly miracles. But it doesn't seem like that could happen. Did you ever think about Japan in World War II? You know what happened in World War II? They were going to fight to the last man.
Yeah.
They were not going to surrender. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of the documentaries, but they had filmed, they were training girls, young girls. They had made spears, and they were training them on how to thrust spears to fight when the Americans invaded. They were going to fight till everybody was dead. That's what they were doing. And there was a bunch of them that tried to rebel and not let the emperors, the Japanese emperors, broadcast go out to the nation. You know, he came on they had a radio broadcast, and he actually said, "We're surrendering." And it's real interesting that how Japan was. I mean, they were adamant about not surrendering.
It's the Asian mentality, not losing face.
Mhm.
We dealt with that when we moved over there.
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is, it's the same thing here. These people rebelled up to the very last thing. And I'm trying to get my head around, you know, Aaron rod blossoms, yields almonds, and there was such a powerful sign that they finally understood. But to me, the earth opening up, the people dying, was a better sign that they don't. It really doesn't get over until this happens. So why is the olive branch such a powerful sign? Do we understand it? 3:13 says, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and understanding." Are we getting understanding? Do we understand what's going on?
Trying to.
We're trying to. I said he settles the dispute by his own decision in a way that removes any ambiguity, any misunderstanding. I mean, what does he do? He uses a life-giving plant to show his power. I'm still amazed by it. You know, what does it say? Real wisdom means you accept God's verdict and you stop kicking against Him. You quit striving against God. You know, I always call it, you know, when little kids don't do what their parents want, what do? They scream and kick. You ever been in a store where some kid's throwing a fit?
Oh,
You just want to get out of the store as soon as you can. Anyway, when God explains what a sign is meant to accomplish inside the community, what's He doing? Well, what were all the signs that we went through? You know, they called Moses out. They said that he had violated his own commandments by not taking them out of the land of milk and honey, and taking them into a wilderness, and that nothing that he had said had come true, and that they ought to just go back to Egypt, right? And
Go back to being slaves.
but go back to being slaves. But the whole fight was over who's in charge.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, after you go through all that stuff, people die, people get swallowed up in the earth, and God prevails. He says, "This is what's going to happen. This is what's happened to you now. And now you understand that I have put the people in charge that will bring you into the land of promise, the promised land. So, do we understand that God is bringing us into the promised land? What is God trying to accomplish inside the community? That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to explain to us that it's very important that we understand him, his commandments, and how to apply them in our lives so that we become part of his community, not the community of the world. And that's what we struggle with. And that's what I struggle with. Is, I think it's a valid deal where it says fear and trembling, where Paul says with fear and trembling work out your salvation.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we need to take more note of fear and trembling. Because when it says enter by the narrow gate, the way is tribulation that leads to life, and few find it. Well, we want to be a part of the few. I mean, that's the Marine deal. How does that Marine thing go? The few, the proud, the whatever. Yeah, whatever the Marines.
Pride comes before the fall.
Huh? What?
Pride comes before the fall.
Pride becomes before the fall. That's right. Okay, let's get on. Glasses. The Lord told Moses, put Aaron's staff back in front of the testimony to be kept as a sign for the rebels, so that you may put an end to their complaints before me, or else they will die. So Moses did as the Lord commanded him. Then the Israelites declared to Moses, look, we're perishing, we're lost, we're all lost. Anyone who comes near the Lord's tabernacle will die. Will we all perish? The Lord said to Aaron, you, your sons, and your ancestral house will be responsible for sin against the sanctuary. You and your sons will be responsible for sin involving the priesthood, but also bring your relatives with you from the tribe of Levi, your ancestral tribe, so that they may join you and assist you and your sons in front of the tent of the testimony. They are to perform duties for you and for the whole tent. They must not come near the sanctuary equipment or the altar. Otherwise, both they and you will die. They are to join you and guard the tent of meeting, doing all the work at the tent, but no unauthorized person may come near you. You are to guard the sanctuary and the altar, so that wrath may not fall on the Israelites again. Look, I have selected your fellow Levites from the Israelites as a gift for you, assigned by the Lord to work at the tent of meeting. But you and your sons will carry out your priestly responsibilities for everything concerning the altar and for what is inside the veil. And you will do that work. I am giving you the work of the priesthood as a gift. But an unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary will be put to death. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron, look, I have put you in charge of the contributions brought to me. As for all the holy offerings of the Israelites, I have given them to you and your sons as a portion and a permanent statute. A portion of the holiest offerings kept from the fire will be yours, every one of the offerings that they give me. Whether the grain offering, the sin offering, or restitution offering will be most holy for you and your sons. You are to eat it as a most holy offering. Every male may eat it. It is to be holy to you. The contribution of their gifts also belongs to you. I have given all the Israelites presentation offerings to you and to your sons and daughters as a permanent statute. Every ceremonially clean person in your house may eat it. I am giving you all the best of the fresh olive oil, new wine, and grain, which the Israelites give to the Lord as their first fruits. The first fruits of all that is in their land, which they bring to the Lord, belong to you. Every clean person in your house may eat them. Everything in Israel that is permanently dedicated to the Lord belongs to you. The firstborn of every living thing, man or animal, presented to the Lord belongs to you. But you must certainly redeem the firstborn of man and redeem the firstborn of an unclean animal. You will pay the redemption price for a month-old male according to your assessment. 5 shekels of silver by the standard sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. However, you must not redeem the firstborn of an ox, a sheep, or a goat. They are holy. You are to sprinkle their blood on the altar and burn their fat as a fire offering for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. But their meat belongs to you. It belongs to you like the breast of the presentation offering and the right thigh. I give you and your sons and daughters all the holy contributions that the Israelites present to the Lord as a permanent statute. It is a permanent covenant of salt before the Lord for you as well as your offspring. The Lord told Aaron, you will not have an inheritance in the land. There is no portion among them for you. I am your portion and your inheritance among the Israelites. So, he's going through and telling Aaron and his sons that all the rest of the Levites are to serve them because I'm giving my sacrifices, my portion and everything is for them. They don't have a portion in the land, but everything that comes in for God is their portion. Okay, who are we as Christians? What are we supposed to be? We're supposed to be a nation of priests. We are supposed to be a nation of Aarons. Everything that comes into God is our portion. That's what this is explaining. The people that when Paul states that when Yeshua returns, we will be changed, and the dead will rise in earth, and we will reign for him 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Those people are God's portion. They get God's portion. The rest of the world will bring their portion to Jerusalem. Yeah, you understand that?
Yeah.
That's who the people are that are in Christ. They're a nation of priests. Who's the priestly tribe now?
Judah.
Huh?
Judah and Levites.
The Levites, only the
Yeah,
Levites. But in heaven, Yeshua is the high priest and king. Okay. But in the new millennium, it says that you are a nation of priests, that you will rule and reign with Christ.
Mhm.
So where does the thing that the priests get? Aaron, what does it tell him? He says, all these things that are brought to the temple are for you. They honor God, the burnt offerings, the sacrifices, but the things that they're bringing are for the Levites. They're for the people that are serving God.
And you talk about them being like 600,000 people.
600,000 men.
Men, yeah,
Mhm.
600,000 men, but there's, otherwise, and 600,000 men bringing all these things. Those Levites, they're loaded with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff coming in
Yeah.
daily.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's what it says. I mean, we're fixing to get into it, but everybody's giving a 10th portion, and then the Levites tithe the 10th of a 10th.
Where do they put all this stuff? Because it's not just all animals. It's materials and things like that too.
Well, if you go back and read, the Levites were given so many feet around every city. And there were Levites in every city that were to teach. And there were, there was a bunch of stuff going on that's not intuitively obvious to the casual observer about the land of Israel. I mean, all these things were a mechanism. These things came in and were dispersed out. When David formed the 24 priestly castes, that there was two castes that were serving on every Shabbat. during the year, all that. Well, what was happening? Although they were coming in and they were taking back, they were coming in and they were taking back. You know, they were all meeting at the feast and taking back. So all the stuff that was supporting the Levites was being dispersed back out into the country, because that was their inheritance. What does it say here? It said over and over, these are for you. I tried to emphasize it. It's for you. It's for you. Okay, who is the you? It's the people that are serving closest to God. It's the Levites and the priests. You know, there's Aaron and his descendants, and then there's the Levites. But they all served as protection of God and protected the people from His wrath. I mean, that was their duty. I mean, what did the people say? We're all going to die. And God said, no, I'm going to put the Levites around the camp. They will protect and guard. Have y'all ever heard about, what was it we were talking about? Before the cock crows twice, you will have denied me. Who was the cock that crowed?
It was the man that's guarding the door, and he had the key to.
Yeah, it was. There was a whole group. You know, when they came to get Jesus, there was what do you call them? The temple guards, the ones that protected, that were stationed, and the guy that came that went around to review the guards. He went around the temple to review the guards. He was the cock that crowed. He went, and if you were asleep, he woke you up, and then you were berated for not paying attention.
I understood he even slept on the key that opened the gates for that.
Well,
but definitely wasn't a chicken, because
no, it wasn't.
they could poop all over the
Yeah.
temple.
Yeah, no, the whole thing is that I think that these are a picture, a shadow, what you say, of things to come. These things, what we're talking about here is things that are going to happen in the millennial reign. That God is going to deal with rebellion, get things in order. But there's going to be a buildup, because there's going to be a final battle. Well, there can't be a final battle unless people are unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, pride, envy, all that kind of stuff is going to come into play a final time. I think that's the truth. I think Korah's rebellion is evidence of that. Because I think God's showing us things through the scripture. And we need to take note. I can be wrong. I don't know that. But I think to me, it's, you know, where are they? They're in the wilderness going to the promised land. Where are we going to be? Everybody's going to be in the wilderness. We're wanting to be in the kingdom, the new Jerusalem. You know, and you know that thing. We're the bride, right? Jesus comes for His bride. Okay. What did He tell the disciples? I go to prepare a place so that where I am, you may be. He's going to make the place for to take the bride. It's the marriage of the Lamb. Okay, that all these things have to be. Okay, now that's the other thing I was going to say. What is coveting? You know, do not covet.
Like what your neighbor has.
Yeah, what your neighbor has, it's being envious.
Yes, and
I want your your stuff so much. I kill you, take it. You know, I mean, it's bad stuff.
And so I want my stuff and I want your stuff too.
Well, you could say that the 10th commandment, do not covet, was Korah and his people. They coveted what Aaron and Moses had.
Mm-hmm.
And what did God say? Be satisfied. You know, I've given you what you need. And a lot of people are never satisfied, no matter what they have. Okay.
And Paul said that he was content in all he had, whether he was rich or he was in poverty. He was content.
Okay, look how I've given the Levites every tenth in Israel as an inheritance in return for the work they do. The work of the tent of meeting. The Israelites must never again come near the tent of meeting, or they will incur guilt and die. The Levites will do the work of the tent of meeting, and they will bear the consequences of their sin. The Levites will not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations, for I have given them the tenth that the Israelites present to the Lord as a contribution for their inheritance. That is why I told them that they would not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. The Lord instructed Moses, speak to the Levites and tell them, when you receive from the Israelites the tenth that I have given you as your inheritance, you must present part of it as an offering to the Lord, a tenth of the tenth. Your offering will be credited to you as if it were grain from the threshing floor or full harvest from the winepress. You are to present an offering to the Lord from every tenth you receive from the Israelites. Give some of it to Aaron the priest as an offering to the Lord. You must present the entire offering due the Lord from all your gifts. The best part of the tenth is to be consecrated. Tell them further, once you have presented the best part of the tenth, and it is credited to you Levites, as the produce of the threshing floor or the winepress, then you and your household may eat it anywhere. It is your wage in return for your work at the tent of meeting. You will not incur guilt because of it once you have presented the best part of it, but you must not defile the Israelites' holy offerings so that you will not die. So there again, he's telling you don't have an inheritance, but you have a tenth, but even though you get a tenth, you have to give a tenth. So, and he says, you know, tell the Israelites you can't come into the tent of meeting or you will die. And the Levites and the priests are the ones that are protecting you, so that you won't die. And don't be presumptuous about thinking you can come in and do whatever you want to do. So what's the whole thing telling us about approaching God? It's serious business. And he's the one that makes the rules, and we're the ones that follow the rules. That's what being obedient to the commandments gets. What is being obedient to the commandments?
Doing what he says.
Yeah. But it's love. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. All the commandments are done out of love. And if you can't see the love in the commandment, that's what God was saying. Do it this way and you will not die. Do it this way and you will not die. And that's the problem that we have, is we do not see what death is. What happened in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve sinned? The relationship with God died. It said, you will surely die. They didn't have a physical death, but they had a death of separation. They couldn't go back to the garden and be with God anymore. That avenue was closed. Now, did God did he have any contact with them after that? Yes, he did. I mean, we have the story of what are Adam's sons? Cain and Abel. Well, God was intimately involved in that. I mean, it says that he told Cain, sin is knocking at the door. You can overcome it. But he didn't overcome it, right?
And try.
Hmm?
I don't think he tried.
Well,
You must overcome. I think he says you must
you
overcome.
must overcome it. So, I'm just going to read this. Korah's error wasn't merely that he wanted to help. He wasn't merely that he wanted to help. The text indicates that he wanted priestly authority and the prestige attached to it. In Numbers 18, it just tells us that God decides who gets to do what, not us. It's just like in any other relationship that you have in your home or your company or in a congregation. There's people that get assigned things, and then that's their job. And what it actually means is don't be jealous of somebody because they're doing something.
Yeah.
What you need to do is be grateful that they're willing to do it. What is one of the definitions of wisdom? I think it's the best definition. Is to accept God's order rather than competing against his order. When we abandon his commandments, we're competing against his order. But when we keep his commandments, we're using our brains to say, if we do what God says, it's best. Am I putting everybody to sleep now? I see those. Just be quiet for a minute. Okay, I got one other thing. I'm not doing Calvin today, but I am doing zits.
Oh my God.
And this explains it all. So, look, Mom, I'm sorry that I mentioned your mustache. I'm jealous, okay? I just wish mine was as full as yours. Look up close. It was a compliment. You should stop digging. Sometimes we don't see that what we're saying is hurting somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
Like telling your mother, I like your mustache. But it's kind of an absurd example. But that's what we do. We say, I did this for the Lord. And you have no clue what the Lord wants. And people don't understand that we don't know God unless we know his word. We don't know him. When Jesus said, they hear my voice and they follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless we know God's word, we don't know his voice. We got to be careful about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week is Korach. Y'all know Korach. That's one of a decree. In Hebrew it means it's something that you do because I told you to do. And everybody that has children has always said, why do I have to do that? And you say, because I told you. Doesn't matter what you think, it's because I told you. Okay, well, join me in saying the blessing. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gave to us the Torah of truth, Yeshua our Messiah, and life everlasting, set in our midst. Blessed are you, Lord, giver of the Torah, and keeper. Baruch atah Adonai Elohim, melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, Yeshua Shekinu, v'chayil olam, natan v'zekenu, Baruch atah Adonai Elohim HaTorah. forgot the last part. Got a new cloud up here. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. Doesn't say you have to find it, you just enter it. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard, the way is tribulation that leads to life, and those who find it are few. You have to find it. The other one you just enter. Remember that.
You just follow.
The way that leads to destruction. A lot of ways. Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Oh, I like the little face in the
Oh, I was gonna say I was gonna say there's a prize if anybody notices. Like the little face in there?
O.
יישא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ. אל יתן למוט רגלך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום, לא יישן שומר ישראל. לילה, 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 אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. לילה, 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 Amen.